Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move, and for today's episode we take on Chelsea in our Lively Liverpool series. And of course a huge game regardless of the circumstances, but the circumstances are that Chelsea with a game in hand are a huge 18 points ahead of us. Now we're having a relatively standard season, you would say, for someone who's attempting to be champions. It's just a matter is that Chelsea are head and shoulders above the rest, and they've continued that since the start of the season, where we've, every time we point it out in each episode, but really it's just getting more and more shocking the more it goes on, to be honest. So they played 22 games, they've got 20 wins, 1 draw and a single loss, leaving them with 61 points. Manchester United, who have 2 games in hand on us and a game in hand on Chelsea, are 50 points. That's kind of the season, the kind of season that Chelsea are having. So Manchester City, last season's Premier League winners, are with 32 points. They've played 18 games though, so they can really start to climb up the table if they wanted to. They're not in as bad a position as you can see now, but first they have to win their games before they can actually claim that they're doing alright. But yeah, I mentioned it in other episodes before, but if you haven't watched those, Chelsea very much having a similar season to Manchester City last year, who were on rampant until the last hurdle of the season, where they let Manchester United get really awfully close to winning the title, just 1 point. But I think before these 6 draws and 5 losses, they were pretty much unbeatable, and on a winning streak that was very similar to the one that they experienced in real life as well. So Chelsea are the ones who are doing it this season. Manchester United again pushing them close, I suppose. Probably not as close as it did Manchester City, but yeah, it's very important for us to close the gap between ourselves and Chelsea, and we have no one else to blame for them not dropping points, because we can cause that damage. So in terms of what happened since the last episode, which we did show against Manchester United, we lost 2-1. After that we had 2 consecutive draws, which are very disappointing. Leicester managed to score through Ryan Kent, but couldn't complete a comeback win. Against Stoke though, away from home, this is a bit of a more decent result. Disappointing that Sadio Barre had a penalty in the 87th minute, and unfortunately it was too late for us to turn anything around. In the FA Cup, we managed to beat Blackburn 5-2. Chamberlain, Kent and Lacazette all on the score sheet, with Kent in particular scoring a hat-trick, which pretty much won us the game, because Chuba Akpom scored in the 43rd minute and Wallace scored an own goal too. Managed to beat Tottenham and Arsenal back-to-back though, so that was good. Very important wins. 2-1 against Tottenham with Lallana and Robertson on the score sheet. Against Arsenal, it was Keita and Origi who did the damage. Immobile, trying to make things uncomfortable for us towards the end there, but we managed to hold on. Manchester City in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg kind of sort of sealed up the tie. We do have a second leg at home. Hopefully we do need to score 3 goals and keep a clean sheet to go through. But if City do score a single away goal, then we're in serious trouble. Phil Foden there scoring for them, young English talent, I suppose, and who are the other goal scorers? Sané and Sander Berge. But yeah, City of course going crazy in the transfer market as always. Origi on the score sheet for ourselves, and as you can tell, getting a bit of a head start ahead of Lacazette at the moment. He seems to have been doing well. But it was the Frenchman who returned to the starting 11 against Southampton, and he did manage to bag what eventually would be the winner. Salah scored in the 17th minute, Lacazette scored in the 81st, and then Robertson really worrying us there for a second. Still ended the game with a 7.9 rating, but scoring in the 92nd minute an own goal, really, it's more than anything going to put pressure on your own team. And of course away from home as well, the odds were stacked against us, but we came through in the last dying moments of the game. But anyways, in terms of our tactics, we've made that tactical little tweak to the 4-2-3-1, the symmetric, with an anchor man and a box-to-box midfielder. We got Salah as an advanced playmaker. He's a little bit uncomfortable with the role, and he's doing okay still, but you could tell that it's not the best way to use him. So we'll continue trying out the tactic, because it is a much more solid tactic than the one we were using before. But at the same time, if it just gets to the point where Salah's not being used to the best of his abilities, then we might have to consider maybe changing tactic again. We could tweak it to play him as an inside forward instead. That would make a bit more sense, but I feel like the reason why we're playing with this formation, the symmetric, obviously makes us more solid, but at the same time, that means we've kind of given up on a playmaker in the team, and so Salah's the only one who's an actual playmaker, and that's why I'm a bit reluctant to change the advanced playmaker role to the inside forward one. But anyways, let's see how it performs today against Chelsea. Of course, players still getting familiar with it. The good news is it's less intense, so we don't have to suffer so many injuries. And we'll talk more about who's starting once we get into the game, but still January, and we did bring in Alban Lafont. I think we mentioned that in the last episode. Still attempting to get rid of Karius, Marco, and Markovic as well. Sturridge. The likelihood is, though, we're going to have to let all their contracts run out before we actually lose them, because Liverpool have been paying them such high wages that any other club refuse to actually invest in them, even if they're cheap, because obviously the wages are too high and they're going to be expecting similar ones. Telles, though, Alex Telles is unhappy, and so we've had to transfer list him, trying to get rid of him. 23 million, 80k. Brazilian 26-year-old hasn't made any international caps yet. He's a good player for most Premier League sides. My scouts were wrong in assessing him as a leading player, so that's why I'm not too worried about letting him go. Robertson has been incredible in recent games as well, and so it would make sense to actually invest in a top left back should Robertson not actually fulfill his potential as a leading Premier League player left back. So but overall, it does obviously mean that we were kind of silly to sell Moreno and bring on Alex, because Alex wasn't much of a step up, but of course mistake on my behalf, and of course the scouting team that I relied on. But anyways, I think we can finally kick off and get into today's important fixture. I think we can actually quickly show you. I think it showed there for a minute who are also playing. Stoke and Southampton play today on a Wednesday of all games, all days rather, and the rest of the matches have already, well, it's been a bit of a mix-up, but yeah, Manchester United drew already with Bournemouth, City drew with Huddersfield, and that makes our game today even more important. So let's hope we can get all 3 points against the league leaders. Manchester City, though, have had an incredibly poor season by their standards, and what makes it worse is they invested huge chunks of money on Coutinho and Firmino, buying each of them for about 60 million from us, and yet they find themselves middle of the table. So quite pleasing to see that, in truth. They insisted on leaving to the bigger club, and they find themselves in mid-table, so it's nice to see ourselves do better than Manchester City, despite a huge turnover in terms of players. Really, if you look at this first team at the moment right now, you can say in comparison to last season, or how Liverpool, what Liverpool players they have at the moment, it's pretty much just Salah. Keita hasn't even arrived to Liverpool in real life, but let's say Keita's one of them. Henderson, Matip, Gomez didn't really play as much. Robertson, I guess there's a few decent players, but a huge chunk of our players have actually been moved. I mean, when your starting 11 is made up of like 5 players who are new this season, then you can kind of understand why they're sometimes inconsistent, because they haven't adjusted just yet to each other and gelled as a team. But anyways, we do go with Origi up front. He has been in better form than Lacazette off late, and so he'll continue, and hopefully he can prove his worth today. It's as big a chance as ever to do it. We've got Fornells in the attacking midfield spot, Salah and Kent out wide. Kent has been an incredible player for us, got most assists out of the starting 11 at the moment. Salah with the most assists as well, apparently, so I think they're both tied. I thought it was goal scorer, but apparently it's most assists. Keita's been playing as a box-to-box midfielder, and Henderson playing incredibly well as a ball-winning midfielder, but off late he's playing as an anchorman, and I'm hoping to continue the form despite the change in his role. Robertson and Alexander Trent are going to be, or Trent Alexander-Arnold, was it, or Andrew? I forgot. Arnold, that's the one, are going to be our fullbacks, and the absence of Klein might hit us a little bit, but Trent's very capable and Klein's on the bench if necessary. Gomez and Matip are going to be the ones who play in central defence, and we've got Timo Horn in goal, who is of course our leading Premier League goalkeeper and our first choice starting 11 goalkeeper. But anyways, in terms of Chelsea, a 3-4-3 really, you could say. Got 2 wing backs, 2 high wingers, basically wide forwards, to be honest, and you've got Icardi there, who's as dangerous as ever, of course, their top goal scorer with 12 goals so far this season. And that's a decent amount of goals, bearing in mind that they just signed him this season. They've got Guerrero as well as a left back, and he's apparently, or a left wing back, and he's got their most assists, so he's someone to keep an eye on. But I'm hoping to expose his weaknesses in terms of his positioning, marking and tackling, or at least that was the case when you first get introduced to the game. But it looks like he's increased his positioning, so fair play to him. Playing in a higher role might suit him anyways, in terms, you know, you don't have to worry too much about defending, I suppose, but hopefully we can get away with being marked and see whether that helps us. And yeah, with Origi as a trequartista, he's going to be free to roam, so hopefully he won't be man-marked by any of these central defenders. He should be able to escape them. And if he's in form, there's no reason why we can't get a result here at home against a tough Chelsea side. So I don't think we're necessarily favourites, so I'll go with the revenge team talk, since there's no I expect you to win kind of team talk. And it seems to motivate some of the players here, so I think we'll do well in the first half at least. Not looking to walk through walls apparently, but they're tangible and motivated, and hopefully that's enough to get us by Chelsea here. So we do kick off. Let's just put replays on, make sure we've got goals, and I think we're set to go. So Salah on the ball, early delivery into the box, but if he does that for the rest of the game, then we might be in some serious trouble, and Rudiger gets that clear for Chelsea. So we start off in control in terms of our mentality, but we will go into attacking if necessary. We might have to do so already with Icardi running down the wings. He's probably going to try and deliver in the box. We can't stop the cross from outside, but Matip does win it inside the box, and he doesn't do well in terms of trying to find anyone. Guerrero trying to deliver with the most assists. He might get another one. Icardi hits the post and Matip clears that. And we're playing a dangerous game at the moment. And Chelsea, in 3 minutes time, have looked better already. Guerrero with the delivery. Willian Henderson gets under it, and it's another corner. And already you can start to feel the Chelsea pressure. Can we deal with this corner too? Bunch of players in the box. Guerrero with the delivery. Matip deals with it this time. Cahill was trying to attempt it. No one really trying to chase down the ball, and it should be, and it is, a Chelsea throw-in. Alright, let's hope that's the end of their little bit of the dominance, I suppose. Not too good that Mo Salah is looking a little bit nervous. We need to try and end that. Kent with the set piece though. He's done well before. Can he score this time? And he does. It actually makes its way past Courtois. A really low shot, and you think Courtois has got it, but to be fair, it looks like it just about bounces before it reaches him. And that might be enough just to put him off. And as far as bottom corners go, that's as bottom corner as it does go. Look at that. Yeah, just bounces before Courtois. So Chelsea keeper a bit unlucky, but you know, as much as you'd still expect him to make that save. Hazard though is going to try and level things up for Chelsea. Kante on the ball. Icardi tries a shot. It's a couple of them in there, but eventually Horn does enough, and we get rid of it and clear it. So we're gonna have to be careful here. I'm hoping my players don't already show complacency. Come on, concentrate. It's good to see some of these players reacting. Well, just Willian seems very frustrated. Not too... Okay, it's a good thing Azpilicueta got frustrated too. Motivated, composed isn't the best thing. I like it when, you know, he's looking furious and whatnot. Kent with another delivery. Can he do it again? Almost does. Salah on the ball. And that is as clear-cut a chance as you're ever going to get. And Mo Salah might have costed us the game there, because if we don't get our second, you can expect Chelsea to get their first, and we might lose some valuable points. Origi on the ball though. Let's see how this game goes. Can he deliver into the box? He can, but it's a poor one, and Chelsea just have a goal kick. So I guess you could say he can't even deliver in the box. Anyways, overall in terms of ratings, not too many stand-up performances other than the goal scorer Kent. Matip with a really good tackle there, and Keita as a box-to-box midfielder can try and get us on the counter. It looks like he's trying to go by himself. Eventually plays it back to Robertson. And let's see what our fullback can do. Back to the anchorman Henderson. Keita on the ball, tying things up or connecting things up nicely in midfield, and Kent goes to Pablo, our attacking midfielder. Can he find our playmaker Salah? Back to Keita instead though. What can he do? He's going to try going by himself. And you would wonder why he didn't wish to find Trent Alexander-Arnold, who made the overlapping run. I think as a fullback, there's nothing more frustrating than making the overlapping run and then no one finding you. Trent though, to Salah. He does go back to Trent this time, and he can take his man on and try and deliver into the box. High wing backs means our fullbacks can get forward. Origi with the header. Keita from outside the box. Is he going to try and shot? Yes, he does. Kent. And I blamed Salah for not being able to score that clear-cut chance, but that's probably even better. And Kent is just lucky that that was offside, because otherwise that would be incredibly embarrassing to have not scored that. Anyways, Rudiger finds Guerrero and Hazard's on the ball, and he does well to find Kante under pressure. Willian though, back to this guy, Pasalic. I don't even think I've ever heard of him, but anyways, Willian on the ball for his team again. Henderson cuts out the ball to Icardi, and Robertson can find Gomez comfortably to Salah, or attempted to at least, and Pasalic is the one who picks that up again, and Hazard's on the ball. Can Trent stop him? Apparently not. The delivery comes in, Icardi's there, but so is Horn. And we have to be seriously careful with the way we're letting Chelsea get into the game. Horn though, let's hope this highlight doesn't end and ends instead in our favour, with Salah finding Origi. What can the trequartista do? Holds the ball up a little bit, finds Keita from outside the box. And that was as close as it comes. It kind of looked like Courtois saved it, but it was just inches wide. And so Chelsea, I suppose, survive. Again, Icardi having a horrible game for this Chelsea team so far. But you can bet that commentator curse means he's going to score now. Having said that, Alexander picks up the pieces and Henderson finds Origi well. What can the striker do? Tries to go by himself. Crosses to far post. Pablo's there. And it looked like he hit it right at Courtois, but it happened a bit too quickly. The good news is that it's gone in anyways. So Pablo with the goal, 2-0 up now. Worried that was a bit offside there for a second, but apparently not. And Hazard is, I guess, kind of to blame for that pass. Kind of just bounces off his teammate though. Origi does well to just beat a couple of players there who don't really seem to care about it. And Pablo beats his man. And I talked about marking, and I think that is Guerrero. That's exactly what I want to see in Courtois. I think again you would kind of expect him to do a bit better there, but I'm definitely not complaining. 2-0 up, and we look like we'll head into half-time with the lead. So we might just about, if everything goes to plan, we will give Chelsea their second loss of the season, hopefully, because this is what happened last season as well with Manchester City. You know, help them tumble down the table and you know, just push them over the edge so that they continue having a poor run of form, and that way they don't feel as invincible as ever, and we can continue winning our games, going on a nice little winning run, and possibly, maybe, still have the title on the line. Let's see. A huge chunk of points to get over though. But anyways, they've done really well, so that's all I can ask from my players. Can't really tell them off or anything, or even warn them of complacency for that matter. We will ask to see a bit better though. It looks like the reaction that is the reaction that we wanted to get. Hopefully the players remain focused in the second half. We have had less possession, but I would argue we've looked the more solid team, and we seem to be creating more in terms of attacking. Chelsea just about performing poorly in almost all areas of the field. Their striker, it was really their spine, the striker, the centre-backs, the wing-backs as well, that they heavily rely on. And I think we're doing a really good job to expose them and cover up our own weaknesses. They've taken off Kante, and it looks like Keita's picked up a bit of an injury, so I will take him off for Jorginho here because I don't want to risk aggravating that little knock there. Let's have a look at what he's got. Potential lower leg injury. Let's hope that's not too serious. I don't think there's any real need to make any more other substitutions. But yeah, really happy for Kent. He's had an incredible season so far, and you know, far beyond what I would expect from him. I thought he's just a youngster coming in, gonna be a capable backup to Sadio Mane, but instead he's proven a very capable and comfortable Premier League player. And if he continues his form, there's no reason to doubt whether he can become a leading or top talent or not. He's got a bit of potential left and quite a while to go, to be honest, in terms of age and fulfilling his potential, so he just has to keep it up, and that's it. But we have to keep up this defense. Thankfully Gomez does clear the ball. Origi, as a trequartista, can pretty much roam wherever he wants, and does well to pick up that ball. Finds Kent, who we were just speaking of. Salah with the advanced playmaker, and that is not an advanced playmaker ball. And Chelsea can try and get going again. Hazard this time on the ball. Can we stop the Belgian international Van Ginkel? Kent does cut it out, and he tries to find Origi through immediately. He's kind of man-marked, but not that well, and that's as clear-cut chance as he's going to get. And he's missed it again, so, you know, I think we're going to start looking to find to bring on Lacazette in a moment, since Origi doesn't seem too keen on scoring, I suppose. Did well to get the assist earlier, but we do need a third to just make this as comfortable as possible. Can't really substitute him when he's performing well though. Mane is on the bench, so we can't take off Salah, whose backup is actually Chamberlain. Lallana for Pablo, but Pablo's done well. I think we can start to look to rest some players. We're 2-0 up, some of the defenders are tired. So who's on the bench? Klein we can take off for Trent. I'd rather take off Robertson since he's got a yellow, but I'm gonna try and trust him. Not that I have a choice because there's no one on the bench for him, with Alex off the starting, well, the squad entirely, matchday squad. But yeah, Horn with the ball, and if you can find someone here, might be able to unlock this Chelsea side once more. Instead it's straight to Zoom, and Hazard is on the ball for his team again. Hasn't done too much today. I think Icardi will find him, and now he has the time or opportunity to punish us, and it's Willian. That's as poor defending as you'd expect, or that you would see really, because he's got his man there, but he still beats his man in a very similar way that Pablo does earlier in the match against Chelsea themselves. Icardi holds the ball up well, no one really pressing him too much, and that lets him find Hazard. But this is where you expect us to deal with a threat, because Matip's in the correct position, so is Robertson with his man, but unfortunately for him, Willian's just off the ball quicker. And he heads better than you would expect him to head, I suppose. But now suddenly, the game, or our result, is in doubt, so we do need that one more goal. Can Kent be the provider this time instead of goal scorer? It goes to Henderson, the anchor man. Don't lose the ball, you're the last man, and that's exactly what it does. Pablo falls down, but apparently it's not a tackle by Rudiger, and David Luiz can try and set Chelsea on the counter-attack. It's 2 versus 3, but Chelsea are trying to break forward with a bunch of players. We might be outnumbered here. Hazard with the delivery to Icardi. Thankfully he's having one of his poor days, because otherwise we would be in some serious trouble. And now I'm tempted to tell my players to retain the ball and not do anything stupid. Pablo, facing his own goal, goes back to Horn with the Chelsea striker in the box. And it looks like this highlight's not over yet. Are Chelsea going to get their second goal? Arthur. Well, they're not going to get it like that, but we're going to have to make some changes, because I do not like this at all. I think I'm going to tell my players to retain possession, be a bit smarter with the ball, not to be not to be silly. We'll just take a breather, instruct players, keep hold of the ball and simply take a moment to recover physically. I think we'll go with that as well. What else can we do to not be silly? I think let's keep that as is, but we are playing some seriously risky football. Unless we get another goal here, we're in danger, and that's exactly what Chelsea are trying to do here. I feel like though when you're just a goal up, the game tries to scare you. So hopefully this is all the match engine's trying to do. But Guerrero's on the ball for his team, goes all the way back thankfully to Rudiger, but that doesn't mean the Chelsea attack is over yet. Can we win the ball high up the pitch? Nope, it's through to Hazard instead. They're just passing him behind us too easily, and Icardi this time does score. And our result is under threat, having led 2-0 at half time. We're suddenly in some serious danger. Definitely get rid of retained possession. We don't want to take breathers anymore either. And if within a few moments time, I think we definitely will go into overload. But that is very disappointing defending again from our defenders. No real excuses. They're men in the box. They're just losing their players. And Icardi turns around his game, having played so poorly for the majority of the match. I did talk about commentator's curse, and that's exactly what's happened. Hazard very easily through. That's fair enough, you know, sometimes those balls do come in. You'd expect Klein to cover for Gomez, and he kind of is, I suppose, but it's Matip who loses Icardi. Barely even tries to jump there, doesn't he? He's trying to header while he's still on the floor. And, well, at least with his feet still on the floor anyways, but that's very poor. And we have one more substitution left. And Gomez has been the one blamed for that goal, I think, because he's gone down to a 6.3. But we need to make an attacking change. And that will come in the form of Lallana coming in for Pablo, who's had a decent game with a goal to his name, but hasn't really pressed on, so hopefully Lallana can do more from the bench. Kent with the delivery into the box. Lallana was on the ball, but unfortunately it's nowhere. Henderson to Jorginho, who's already inside the box, does well to find Salah, and the Egyptian scores perfectly and is onside. And maybe that is the winning goal, but we will have to be careful because Chelsea definitely will fight back in the same way they did after half-time. The question is, will this goal be enough to secure us the win? And will it knock the stuffing out of Chelsea so much so that they're unable to fight back this time? Because they did really well after half-time. My players switched off. And you can bet at full-time that's exactly what I'm going to tell them. But yeah, Jorginho, really good ball to Salah. And this time the Egyptian does score. And you'd argue this chance is more difficult than the one he had earlier. But he gets his goal nonetheless. And gives me a bit of boost of confidence in playing him in that advanced playmaker role. Klein though does well to rise above Hazard, and Salah's on the ball again and he finds Origi through. Can the Belgian score? The answer is no, but Jorginho's still in the box. The attack's not over, and I suppose that was a little bit poor from Jorginho, but he could have gotten a fourth. Salah on the ball again. Back to Klein. Henderson this time goes to Origi, and Chelsea players drop off from him, so he can take a bit of time here and just play the smarter balls. Zuma has tripped Salah off the ball. Bit of a silly tackle in truth, because Salah was nowhere near. And Chelsea are going to have to end the game with 10 men, making me feel a bit more confident, but sometimes that can spur a team on more. So we will have to be careful on the counter-attack and not do anything silly. The good news out of this tactic is we create a plenty of chances. I'm hoping with the improvements in defense we will defend better too, but you cannot doubt our our attacking intent. We're creating 5 clear-cut chances to Chelsea's 3. Having said that, they've gone into a very attacking Christmas tree formation. Robertson is on the ball here and loses out to Van Ginkel, and it might be Chelsea attempting one last chance to score. Cardio on the ball, 6 minutes added time, and Hazard's on the ball for his team again. We have to stop him getting the ball into the box. Too many Chelsea players there. Willian under it again, and it does go in this time once more. And I'm pretty sure you've seen as poor defending as you'd ever see in your life from our players. And our attackers are being punished for their teammates' performance. I mean, you can bet Chelsea are going to move away from that Christmas tree formation and play less attacking. Skip that. I just want to see... I want to overlap them. I don't want to run at defense. They are playing just one wide man, so we can expose them. Can we do that? Alright, there's another highlight with 4 minutes to go. Do not tell me that Chelsea score again. Playing on overload though, and it kind of looks like they are too. We've still got plenty of players forward. Salah to Lallana though. What can the Englishman do from the bench? If he's going to do that, he might as well be on the bench again. Players in the box, but instead he's selfish and goes for the shot himself, and Chelsea might just gain themselves a credible draw. And we very much so let ourselves down here. That's as disappointing a result as any we've had this season in truth. But credit to Chelsea for the second half's fight back, but my players are gonna get a rollicking in truth. Kent's demotivated, which is fair enough. I suppose he's had the best performance out of his players, but the man of the match probably goes to someone else. I'll have a look after the game. But yeah, that pretty much explains why we need to improve on the defenders. Gomez having a horrible game, which is quite disappointing because he's been good for us most of the season, but Matip proving that really he's not a Premier League leading Premier League centre-back, as the game tries to judge him sometimes, or my staff at least judge him as a leading centre-back sometimes. So I think after that performance, it's clear as day that he's someone that we shouldn't rely on. Peter thinks he is, and Peter's one of the best judgment of ability in terms of my staff. But with our new assistant manager, he's still getting adjusted to players, and he thinks that he's a leading player. And I reckon that I should trust Peter's decision instead. But anyways, man of the match was Eden Hazard, as expected. Zuma getting sent off for his team, but we couldn't really show any type of solidity. We're gonna have to do better if we want to win the Premier League in that manner. But good news is, a couple of cup competitions we can still win. We've got a semi-final second leg against City, which isn't over. But even if we get out of that, we're in the 4th round against Derby in the FA Cup. and maybe we can do well to win one of those cup competitions. Champions League is Bayern in the first knockout round. It's going to be a huge game, but I'm hoping we can prove ourselves worthy against the Germans and hopefully be more accustomed to the tactics by the time we reach them. But anyways, I think that will be all for today's episode. In terms of when we'll be back, we've got a couple of games here that are quite important. So this was the fixture for January. So in terms of February, we've got Derby to about Bayern here. And we don't want to show you any Champions League games until we meet expectations, so we won't be showing you that one. City in this, that's also a cup game, so no City, no Derby. I feel like I'm still selecting them. I hate these little weird highlights. But anyways, that leaves us with Middlesbrough, Brighton, City and Leeds. And you would argue that City's the biggest game, but since they're in mid-table, might actually not be the case. They're lower than Middlesbrough, Brighton, but they're not as high, or as low as Leeds, sorry. So yeah, we might be back for that City game. It seems to be the one that's more important. We can hopefully keep them out of the Europa League spots and end their, dominance in terms of how they won the league last time. And that would be, a nice result to put in. But anyways, I think that's all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then of course, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, of course. And once again, as always, guys, thank you all very, very much for watching.